Hello.
Hi.
Welcome back to the States.
Yes, I'm back from my overseas mission, my 355 mission.
Yes. How was the flight?
The flight was
Because we don't know from the 355.
no, but okay. I know how this is gonna sound, but I just have to say it. I
Let's hear
I
it.
didn't sit in the steerage. I sat in premium economy.
You
Which
bitch.
it's not lie flat. It's not. It's like
Okay, all
it's like
right.
they give you a little what they allow you to do is sort of get your feet off the ground with a little foldable stool almost.
That's in the brochure. We get your feet off the ground.
That's how I would describe it. I don't think that's the language they use in the literature,
Uh,
but it's basically like it's like a lazy boy chair almost.
okay,
Where you're
well,
not going to be able to go flat, but you do get to stretch out a little bit.
honestly, good for you. You're tall. I'm not. And I know you've had a flight from hell before, so you probably have
Flight
a
from
little bit
hell.
of.
And the thing with flying to Italy or flying to Europe from the East Coast, I feel like you always think that all the flights are the same, but they're not. Flying to Italy is 9 hours, nine
Oh
and a half
my
hours on the way
God.
back.
I thought it was like 6.
See, that's London. Okay, so
You're
that's
right. It is
not.
London.
It's London, and then everyone just uses that same metric to
It's
base all
London.
their other flights. It's not. It's 3 hours from London.
You go, see, that's London.
Yeah, see? I'm glad I brought this up. So,
I'm glad we're getting to the bottom of this.
what's
Wow.
really funny is that I guess, and all of our society is separated into classes, but what's really funny about the premium economy is that it's very much like we're going to give you just a little taste of luxury,
Of
but
the high
not
life.
enough to spoil you. So
Yeah.
they one of the things they do on the flight, which is really funny to me, is that they give you a hot towel. And there's nothing more
Uh,
useless on a plane than a hot towel,
Useless.
especially when you're wearing a mask. Because
Yeah.
I'm like, I guess I'll just wipe my hands with it.
Should I wipe my
I
eyes?
Right. I think like what you're supposed to do is like put it over your face, right? And like sort
Yeah.
of just like
But I don't have my
like
moisturizer on my person, so I'm not going to do that.
okay, well they give you a little toiletry bag.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
So you were treated just fucking fine,
I was treated fine.
you asshole.
But what was really hard was that I don't think the oven temperature was set correctly. When the towels came out, they were so hot.
Oh, yeah.
They were almost like I couldn't touch it. Like the lady flight attendant was using tongs. Good for her.
Good for her.
And I'm using my bare
Your bare
hand.
scalds your skin.
Yeah, I was like, ow.
That's interesting because I think you're like me where I love like a screaming hot shower, like
Yeah.
burn my skin kind of shower.
Yeah.
So these must have been hot because
These
you
were
have a high
really hot.
threshold.
And the thing with the hot towel is you really have to time it correctly because as soon as you open it up and give it a old flap in the breeze, it's cold.
Uh-huh. So be fast.
You have to be
I don't know if you've ever been to a sushi restaurant.
never.
Really?
No, obviously I've been to a sushi
Oh,
restaurant.
okay. Because I asked that and then I was like,
What
wait,
are we,
what?
12?
Do they give them to you in sushi and they flail them out? And yeah, they're hot. They're cold instantly. It's instant.
That was a scene in Spy, remember? When they have the towels and they pour the water on it and she eats it?
Yeah, she eats it. I need to see that movie again.
Yeah.
Guys, I told Steven I was going to bring this up. If you haven't seen the 355,
Hold
it's
on.
okay.
Not seen the movie. You don't need to see the movie.
Don't see the movie. I want you guys to go back and listen to our episode. I think it's the funniest work we've ever done.
Chanel was like, I'm going to make a statement
Yeah.
at the beginning. I said,
I was like,
"Go
are
for
you
it."
cool with that?
I said, listen, it's WHM. Like,
Yeah.
go for it.
Go for
It's
it.
Women's History Month.
Oh, yeah. I needed the reminder. It's still March. It's still March.
Still March.
Guys, I know you're nervous. I know you're like, no, I wanted to kind of catch that first. Don't. Just don't. Just listen to our
I
episode.
was walking through my neighborhood yesterday, and one of the subway exits, they have advertisement space above it. And it's really funny to me when clearly either A, someone has not bought the next month's round of advertising, or the advertiser changer just isn't doing their job. Because there is a 355 advertisement above the Bergen Street G stop that just won't quit. And I'm
It's
like,
still
it's
there.
just so it's still there.
Yeah.
As if it's coming any second now, the 355.
Uh-huh. I kind of love when they linger. It's like a time forgotten, a time past.
They always linger in the subway stations too. They put up like those sticky advertisements.
The sticky ones. Yeah. Do you remember in college when Harry Potter?
We would take them.
Yeah, and you would peel them off and take them back to the old apartment for some decor.
Yeah, it's so funny because I don't know why they haven't come up with a better system, but they just put layers and layers of advertisements on top of each other.
Yeah.
So if you remove one, it just brings the former one to light. Strange.
I remember, was it you or was it your like neighbors or something? But somebody pulled a Harry Potter advertisement from the subway. Advertisement.
It wasn't me, but I do remember.
Do you remember someone doing that in college?
Yeah. That's one of those things where it seems like a really funny and interesting idea, and then you get it home and then you're like, what do I do with this? It's disgusting.
It looks like shit.
It looks like shit.
It looks terrible.
It's ripped. It's not a clean break.
They were so proud of their work. I don't even remember who it was, but I just remember photos. I remember like Facebook photos of this fucking thing. Yeah, so ugly.
It's one of those things where you have to pump it up yourself because no one is gonna look at it and be like, wow.
You have to be proud of your own work.
Yeah, you have to be proud of your own work. Otherwise, you have to be your own cheerleader.
I'm working on that, and I'm working on that, honestly.
You're working on that.
I'm working on it.
WHM.
Happy WHM, everybody. Oh, man. I kind of want... We can cut this. I want you to tell everyone what you were doing in Perugia.
Okay. We don't have to cut it because I'm gonna handle it respectfully.
Please handle it respectfully.
First of all, Perugia was not one of the destinations
it was not.
I had on my recent trip to Italy. However, it was on the way home from another town. Okay. So I figured it made sense to stop by. Mm-hmm. Now, if you don't know what's in Perugia, there's almost nothing there.
There's
nothing there except one historical landmark, which is the home where... not allegedly, because I guess she was cleared.
I wanna not laugh because she's not guilty and has never been.
Sure. So she's not guilty.
But
no,
she's not.
The Amanda Knox, the scene of the crime with Amanda Knox was in Perugia, and it's very easy to find. It's right on the outskirts of town. It's actually a very creepy house. It's right on the hill.
It looks very scary. I did not like seeing that on your story.
Very scary. Perugia is a very interesting town because it's very like in the middle of nowhere, right? Like it's in the countryside. And the town itself has like a university to it. It's just like the documentary, actually. It looks just like it.
I love when that happens.
Yeah, but it was very interesting to go to the Amanda Knox house. I mean, you don't go in, like someone lives there. But because
so it's not an exhibit. Got it.
Yeah, but it's very much one of those towns where it's like you would run out of things to do in 5 minutes. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing to do there. And it did remind me of like in college when we would see flyers for study abroad, and they would be like alternative towns. Like instead of going to Rome, you would go to Siena, or you would go to Perugia, or you would go to Assisi, which are like these really cute towns on their own for an afternoon.
For 1 second. Yes, I've been to Assisi one afternoon. There's one church.
Is adorable, but you can walk on every street in a day.
It's like Disneyland versus Disney World.
Exactly.
Snap of your finger and you're done.
But I understand the reference. So it was interesting to see. Now, I will say this. There was no one else there taking pictures.
Just you. Just you pulling over.
It was the off season, so I do wonder maybe in peak time if there's a different fluctuating tourist numbers. But yeah, it's right by a parking garage.
I'm curious.
And what's that?
I'm curious if like in the summertime there's like a little bit of a showing.
Yeah.
To take a photo.
But yeah, it was definitely interesting to see. And what's also interesting about Perugia is that there's also nothing around it. Like you can't get anywhere. You can't get anywhere. So I could feel how if I was her, Amanda Knox, like you would feel so trapped in this town. Like the nearest town is like maybe Assisi, and it's like 30 minutes away, but you need a car. Like you can't walk anywhere.
I know, when you're a 20-year-old college student. So
yeah, so
it was.
I'm glad I went for research purposes. And then you texted me and said, oh, maybe we should also go check out the JonBenet Ramsey house, to which I responded, oh,
I've
already
been.
done. I've been.
That's why I wanted to bring this story up, because Steven posted the house on his story, and I know that
Now,
not
however,
a soul
put it
got
in
it.
Context, though, I didn't make a big deal about
You
it.
didn't. You didn't.
I just posted the house and said IYKYK.
Yes.
If you know,
you know. And
That's it.
I knew immediately.
No one understood. Chanel was the only person who understood.
I knew immediately which historical landmark this was.
Of course.
And I knew for a dead fact that not a soul got it.
No one. People were
No
like,
one.
oh, such a beautiful view. I'm like, view? Like, no.
This is a highway.
Narrow your focus. Like, look at the house.
So I immediately DM'd Steven. I guess your DMs were working in Italy. And I'm just like,
I bought a data package.
Oh, okay. I was like, oh my God. And you're like, wait, do you get it? And I was like, oh, do I get it? Are you fucking kidding me?
Do I get it?
Do I get
Yeah.
it? And I
Yeah.
just wanted to make the case that our interests are two overlapping circles.
Too overlapping. Because I was like, okay, here's the thing with the Amanda Knox story. If you didn't catch it when it first aired, I feel like everyone watched the Netflix documentary. It's a pretty recognizable house,
Yeah, that's what I
in
said.
my opinion.
Yeah, so everyone's dumb.
Everyone,
Stupid.
Yeah, but
But-
I was telling you that the JonBenet Ramsey house is actually quite interesting because it's gorgeous and it's huge.
Yeah, you can tell it's
And-
gorgeous. They had
it's
money.
and it's in Boulder, Colorado. It's really interesting. They've done some work to it though.
You took a little detour in Boulder, is what you
Yeah,
told me. You're like,
that's
no,
right.
I've been. I had an
I've been.
afternoon. I had an
There are
afternoon.
two
and I
famous
said,
houses in the
take
world.
me there.
I've been to both. So
I need to get
Yeah,
better
that-
at that. I just love a landmark.
yeah, it was. I definitely thought to myself, okay, you know what I'm never gonna do in my life? Come back to Perugia.
Yeah,
So
true.
It's now or never.
Same with Amanda Knox. She's not going back.
Same with Amanda Knox. We have that in
Very
common.
similar.
So yeah, so that was a highlight. That and the Vatican, I would say, neck and
Two
neck
highlights.
for two highlights of Italy.
Mm-hmm. How
But-
was the weather? You were concerned. You're like, I'm going to winter Italy.
Well, the weather was actually wonderful. It was in the 50s and 60s, but I will
Okay.
say this. It did get a little breezy, especially when we were in those towns, so it was cold. However, as you know, if you go to Italy in the summer, it is, I don't know, 300 degrees and you're standing sweltering heat, neck to neck, like body to body with people,
Yeah,
fighting for a chance to like look in the Colosseum.
exactly.
So this was nice. Like you could just breeze on through to all the major attractions.
Nice. It's like an off-peak ticket to an amusement park. You can get on all the
Absolutely.
rides.
Yeah, you could get on the rides, no problem. You could get in the
Jealous.
Coliseum in like 2 minutes.
I love that. And yeah,
Yeah.
the crowdedness. I mean, COVID aside, I just, sweaty.
Yeah, that's the one thing that it was also nice was that like you didn't feel sick like by like being outside.
Yeah. I remember I was so hot one day in Rome and I needed like a slushie or something.
Yeah,
And
so you went to 7-Eleven.
I waltzed into 7-Eleven, got a Slurpee.
Yeah.
I mean, I was complaining with you off air, like, I don't like Europe. Sorry. Because I can't get an
Yeah.
iced coffee anywhere. You can't get a freaking iced coffee.
Well, okay, that's a good point too because it also elevated like a lot of the experiences, like the eating, like
Mhm.
eating like hot bowl of pasta in the sun
Hits.
was nice
Yeah.
because it was chilly.
Yeah.
So
It's chill.
it was chilly. I agree. Like I think that when you're there and like you wake up and it's 900 degrees and you have to like sip a boiling little cup of espresso,
A little espresso. I'm like,
a
oh
little
my
love
God.
is lost.
Yeah, a little love left my soul. I remember I would ask for to-go cups for the espresso, and they were like, okay. And I would step 2 paces out of the establishment, and it'd be done.
It'd be done.
And I feel like this
Yeah.
was stupid.
Yeah, we did that once and we stepped outside and like no sooner had we stepped outside and I was like, okay, where's the trash?
Yeah.
Like, what am I-
That's what I did. I went to
I was-
Sicily, and I was like, I really want to carry this out. And they're like, are you sure? And I was like, yeah. So they gave me a little plastic cup, 2 paces, done.
Yeah, done.
Chucked.
Done.
I'm such a dumb American. And then we went driving for a McDonald's thinking I could get an iced coffee. Nope.
Yeah.
Espresso
Really?
counter in McDonald's.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
I was looking for American breakfast. They were like, here's a croissant.
Yeah. Oh, I did know that. I went.
Croissants everywhere.
I took myself to a McDonald's in France once, and it was very similar. It was
Yep.
like McDonald. It was coffee, like a little espresso, and like little macaroon things.
Ugh, they do a pastry breakfast, which I need like protein, man.
Yeah, it is interesting because for me like, and this was always a big gamble that I take, but I need yogurt in the morning.
Yeah, I
So
need a high protein breakfast.
eating yogurt in Europe feels like always such a risk because it tastes so different. I'm like, ugh,
It's not Greek. There's no way it's Greek.
not Greek.
No, it's that sugar
So
yogurt.
yeah. Well, so I guess what we're saying is that we like to act up in Europe, and you know who else likes to act up?
Julia Roberts.
In The Wedding Planner. Not The Wedding Planner, My Best Friend.
My best friend's wedding. Sorry.
All these wedding titles, they blur together.
All these
It's
star
really hard to keep
vehicles
them
just
straight.
jumbled in the brain.
Yeah.
Good segue. I was really looking for it, and
Yeah,
that
I
was
found it.
perfect. You found it. You always do find it. I'd argue you're pushing for it, but it's okay.
But sometimes you just have to wrap it up. You just
Sometimes
have
you
to wrap it
just have to wrap it up. I took us to Perugia,
up. Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
brought us back to my best friend's wedding,
Back to
1997.
Chicago.
Back to Chicago,
Well,
which
we start in New York City, but we will get to Chicago.
that's what I'm saying. I thought it was New York way too until the midpoint of the movie. I was like, we're still in New York.
Well, it does start in New York City. You're not wrong about that.
You see, that's news to me. I thought we were in Chicago this whole time.
No. No. Why would she fly to Chicago if she lives there?
You're right. She starts in New York.
It's not heavily stated. The only thing that we know is that she's a New York Times food critic.
Shocked.
So
Shocking. Can you become a food critic at 28?
I think you could if you knew what you were talking about.
A really famous.
But she's just a big-haired food critic.
Big-haired food critic in New York, the Big Apple, and she's 27. Let's be honest.
It's inventive and what'd you say? Bold? I forget.
So the opening song, I'm willing to breeze through that, though it was fun.
This is a very pro like karaoke movie.
It is.
But this was my exact problem with karaoke, which is not the problem that Cameron Diaz has, which is that it's humiliating.
Mm-hmm.
My problem with karaoke is exactly this. You have to do the whole song. And like with this intro, I was
the
like...
whole song, every verse.
I was like, the only note I have for the intro is like, okay, I guess we're going to listen to the whole song. Like...
I wrote, woohoo, love this opening, choreography. 2 minutes later, I wrote, okay, this is a little long.
It's so long. I was like, wrap it up. And I understood the point. Like, and I've seen
set the tone.
Again, like every other movie we do in this podcast, I've seen it a few times. Chanel's never seen it.
Chanel's never seen it.
So it wasn't a surprise that we opened with this. I remember that from before. But I think the distinction that I guess they're trying to make between these traditional like women, like get the man and then you'll be good, and then like the movie itself, I understand the difference that they're drawing, but I don't know if we needed the whole song.
I was like, wow, they have a lot of credits, I guess. I don't know.
Right. And what they didn't do is, and I don't want to knock the performance of the four ladies who were dancing, I guess, if you will, but they were very one note. They didn't, there was no arc to their performance.
No, it was the same the full way.
So if there was like a transition, like maybe they transitioned through the decades, or if they started to like signal that they thought the song was like so messed up and the message was weird, then I thought it would have been interesting. But they really just performed it start to finish.
They just performed a song from start to finish. And you're right, it's a pro karaoke movie, so this makes sense.
Very pro karaoke.
Very pro.
So I guess that sets the tone, the karaoke tone of the movie.
Yes. I won't derail us for very long, but I did do karaoke last weekend. Hate bragging. It's very vulnerable.
That's not bragging. That's...
You hate. It's super vulnerable, so I did 2 duets. I always do duets because I want to bring a partner up on stage. But at the 11th hour, 1 a.m., I said, let's do Dancing Queen by ourselves.
Yourself.
I did it by myself, so I did a solo.
So you said that to yourself.
I said that to myself, and then I did it. And let's just say...
It was pretty good.
No, it went terribly.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the whole club would be in an uproar to hear Dancing Queen and everyone would sing along. No
Yeah.
one sang. It was,
Yeah.
my heart sank. And
Oh.
I left feeling very sensitive and triggered. And I had a bad next day because of it.
Yeah, I like, even like if people like ever ask me like, "Oh, what's your go-to karaoke
You're like,
song?"
"Ah, get the fuck out of here."
I don't know.
But what is your go-to karaoke song?
Here's what I did think. I have thought to myself,
Yeah, what?
what would excite me if someone chose a song and sang? Now, for myself, because I can't answer that. But if I was sitting in a karaoke lounge, bar, whatever, and someone got up to sing, I think I would get the most excited if someone got up and sang Hava Nagila. I That to me would be the best karaoke song
I was
because
waiting
that's
for your
fun.
punchline. Fun.
Everyone can get in on it,
Havana. I thought you were
right?
gonna say "Call Me Maybe" by Carly Rae Jepsen, which would be fun.
But I would rather just hear the original.
Havana Gila?
No, of Call Me Maybe.
Oh, there. Carly
You
Rae
said
Jepsen did a cover.
What? No, I thought you said that.
Oh, you would rather
I
just hear
chose
Carly's version.
correct of
Oh,
Call.
okay.
I don't want to hear. Anytime I hear someone do karaoke, I generally like the original better.
Oh,
So
yeah. I mean, duh. Okay. Whatever. I just thought it would be like really. I thought Dancing Queen would be like a bring the house down, and it
yeah,
was upsetting. No one cared. I couldn't hit the high notes. I was
well,
starting to
oof.
panic on stage.
Yeah.
It
Well, that's the
just,
problem, right? The song has to go to its natural conclusion.
and that's where I felt. That's where I felt the perils of this opening. The whole
Yeah.
song is too much. Just a 30-second cut.
And here's the thing. Here's the problem: is that even if you are good at singing, then that just gets people even more angry. Because
Yeah.
if you're really good and you're up there and you're just like really killing it. I remember I was at a karaoke bar one time and this girl got up there. She acted all innocent, but she knew exactly what she was doing.
They
And
always
she's
know. They always
Yeah,
know
and she
when
brought
they're
a
good.
guy up, and they clearly planned this. And they're like, I guess we'll. She's like, I guess we'll sing "Shallow," and of course they do a really good job. But it made everyone
I guess
so
we'll sing "Shallow."
turned off because
Yeah.
it was like, don't treat us like fools. You two knew exactly what you were doing. You've been planning this for months, and we're not fools.
Yeah,
So
you can't take karaoke seriously, and I broke my cardinal rule. I took it seriously,
yeah,
and I was
exactly.
wounded.
And I think that the one thing that the movie does get right about karaoke is that the perfect way to do karaoke is what Cameron Diaz does, which is you have to be just bad enough that it's funny, but not terrible to the point where it's like, ow, 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 ow.
Yeah, or like
Stop.
unrecognizable. It's like we know
Right.
the song, and you're endearing.
You're
She's so
endearing.
endearing. Yeah.
But okay, so that's
All right,
that's the first
so
2 minutes.
Opening's
And
long.
then-
We've
then we
slogged
cut-
through the first 2 minutes in a tight 8.
Right. So we cut to another scene where we're at a restaurant
Yes.
and there's a lot of pressure in the kitchen.
Get it right. A lot of sweat. Sweaty
not
kitchen.
Just get it right. The manager of the restaurant informs us that there's a VIP client at a table, and he says to the chef, he says something really casual. He just says, "I'll kill your whole family if you don't get this right."
Very casual.
Very
I've heard it
cash.
before many times.
Heard it before.
Yeah.
And
That's how I
then-
move.
Yeah, and he's like cooking steak tartare, a dish that doesn't require cooking. It's just it's raw.
It's a little sear action.
So they serve the food to none other than big-haired food critic Julia Roberts.
Yep.
And she says she delivers her review before eating it, by the way. She
I
goes,
know, she
"I'm-"
barely
she
tasted
goes,
it.
"My write-up will be this. It's inventive and interesting." Something like that.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, you took one lick of this meat and that's
Right.
it. You didn't even eat the accompanying.
She didn't eat it. And
Yeah.
what was interesting about her role as a food critic is that, we don't know that much about this woman, but what we do know is that she's a food critic, and it just didn't really seem to inform her character.
Yeah.
It didn't really come back in
Not one time.
right.
not at
what
the
would
wedding
you assume a
receptions.
food critic would be like? Judgmental,
Yeah.
kind of ornery,
Yeah. A little uptight.
very very methodical. She's none of those things.
Also fun for a wedding film when, they're planning the weekend. She can be like, oh, this is disgusting. This food tastes
Right,
terrible.
where was the food gags that come back later?
Yeah. Where was the ratatouille of it all?
Like, why
Please.
didn't Cameron Diaz take her, like, wedding cake tasting?
Yeah.
That was the scene we were missing.
Yeah. I think with these star vehicles, it's very much like it's like movie in a bag. You just pull out a tile and it says a career, and then you pull out a tile and it says how old she is, and you pull out a tile and it's like gay best friend, female best friend. Like you're just
it was very akin to like J-Lo being like, I think in this movie I'll be a dog walker.
Yeah.
It was like, it doesn't really affect me, but I think
doesn't matter.
Why not? So
I mean, I think if anything, she's supposed to be intense, but I think like then she needs to be a mean food critic. She needs to be like, this sucked. This is terrible.
Right, because then that would have helped us get a better understanding about why she's a real life crazy person.
Yeah, because she goes to derail a fucking wedding.
Right, she acts up for the whole movie, but in this first scene, I would say that she comes across as normal.
Mm-hmm.
Like she
poised,
just
good at her job.
She has a telephone ripped off the wall that she keeps in her bag.
Mm-hmm.
She receives calls
very
on.
Big.
Very big. I've never seen a cell phone that big. It was like comedically big. And I know it was 1997.
Those were phones in 1997, but I was cry laughing.
Yeah. And then at the dinner table with her friend George, when she announces that she's 28, and we talked about this before.
Choked.
It made me sick to my stomach.
Sick to my fucking stomach.
To be older than, like, I feel like when you watch these movies and you're younger than it, you never think you're going to be as old as the character.
I was like, oh, I'm not going to hit that. Never. Nope.
So to now be older than her was...
Vom.
That was hard to stomach.
Hard pill to swallow for me.
Yeah.
And they're talking about it. First of all, she's 27 because she's not even 28 yet.
Right, she's turning 28.
She's turning 28.
That's important.
And she's like, George's like, who are you on the phone with? And she's like, my Michael. My Michael. And we always agreed that if we had no one by the time we're 28, we're going to get married. And I was like, oh.
Yeah.
I don't even have a suitor.
Right.
There are no takers.
No takers yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
that's kind of you. Yet.
It begins with this promise that she's going to get married to this guy Michael that I guess they've made before. And
they made a pact.
And this is where I really had a big problem with the title, which is that the title is My Best Friend's Wedding. Mm-hmm. Michael is not her best friend.
Not her best friend. Not even close.
He's an ex.
Yeah. They
haven't spoken in over a month anyway. Like, they don't really make it a priority to stay in contact.
Their relationship is not a priority. I was constantly so confused at how close she thought they were. I'm like, that's not your best friend. George is your best friend.
George is your best friend.
You're confused, sweetie.
You're confused. And that's and once you understand the title is wrong, then you're able to see that these characters are ill. Like, they're not
mentally ill.
And by the way, all three of them. Cameron's a little loony too in the movie.
Yes.
The only normal person is George.
And
she's lucky that George puts up with her.
Oh my God, yeah. I would run if I was George. Yeah.
I guess I would just keep her around. I guess if you want to go to some fine dining restaurants for free, but
I was consistently questioning. I need to rewatch the first 20 minutes of this movie. How close are these friends? Like, how does she not know? It's one of those things, like you said
at the beginning, where it's like, we'll just pull this out of a bag and tell the audience.
Yeah.
And they will just believe it.
Gobble it up. Yum, 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 yum.
Because all their memories that they like harken back to throughout the movie are never like, oh, remember that time we did this and it was platonic. It was always like, remember that steamy night,
that sexy night
in Mexico. And he's like, I'll never forget. Like,
that's the other thing.
Best friends talk.
They had in the beginning. She establishes. She goes, we had a really sexy month. We had 1 month. She literally says this.
We had 1 month.
She said they had a really hot and heavy month. And then she was like, I gotta go. And he goes, the saddest part is I've just lost the best friend I'll ever have. And she was like, same, let's be best friends.
Yeah.
You had a month. And
month.
Now 9 years of friendship. But you're so close that in one cell phone call, he tells her, I'm getting married on Sunday. And it's like Thursday. And he's like, I need you there. Ah, man.
Keep in mind, he's been trying to contact her for weeks, and
Okay. And she's too busy or something, being a food
right,
critic.
but I think that also adds to your case, which is that
They're not friends.
they're not friends.
It's not my friend.
Not her friends. It did make me laugh, and this is where we first see that she's a real life crazy person. Is that he says, "I'm getting married this weekend," and her response is, "Isn't that a little irresponsible to take time off of work?"
Yes. And he goes, to get married? I thought that was funny.
That did make me laugh.
That one landed.
Yeah.
That
But
was
so
great.
she's all fired up because he's gonna get married to what we find out is a college junior, and who's only 20 years old.
Yeah.
And like you said, this is a weekend movie, right? It's Thursday. They're gonna get married on
like Sunday or something.
Yeah,
Saturday or Sunday.
And she has to fly out to Chicago immediately. And I thought this was interesting. We see her with, and we see it a lot in the movie. She's never without a cigarette in that mouth.
Yep.
That Julia.
Yep. I was like, oof, 97, baby.
She's stress smoking.
I wrote love a stress cig.
Yeah, she's stress
Nice.
smoking. Now, this is where I can understand that you were confused where they were or whether or not they were in New York City, because there are no like significant shots of New York City, and even when they're driving to the airport, it's very strange because it looked like an LA airport the way they were showing it, because neither
It's
JFK
LAX.
nor LaGuardia have a runway that go over the highway like that. Like it was it didn't seem correct.
Yeah, they're driving and there's a plane just
Yeah, I was like, maybe I'm wrong, but I
in
don't
the
think that's the
road.
way. I don't think, maybe, I don't know. So
We're getting
she's
bogged
like-
down in logistics.
yeah, but she's
She
off to Chicago.
Hops off to Chicago.
Short flight, by the way.
Oh, I love New York to Chicago. It's like
It's the
2
best.
hour. It's great.
Yeah.
Sorry for the yawn.
Yeah, she gets off, and then
Cameron like attacks her.
yeah, she finds her BFF in the airport.
Yeah.
They both have a lot of teeth, and
Ooh,
then
so many
Cameron-
teeth, like
so many
double the
teeth.
amount of teeth.
double. And you're right, Cameron Diaz is there, and
It's awesome,
we're supposed to hate her.
but
You
no
know,
way.
or Julia's supposed to hate her,
Yeah.
but immediately we fall in love with Cameron Diaz. 'Cause
Yes.
she's so cute and so charming, and
She
I think
attacks
this-
her.
attacks her. And I think this was intentional in the movie, and I really liked it because what the movie never did is it never ever tried to defend Julia Roberts' actions. I didn't think.
Yeah.
And I
no.
like that. Like they never tried to like give you a sentimental backstory for her or try to explain away her terrible behavior. It like continues to allow her to disappoint us with her behavior starting now. So I really like that.
Starting now.
Right.
You're right. Yeah. And if anything, you've pointed this out before, George is the only sane person in the whole movie.
Yeah.
So he's constantly just making a case for babe. Like, just
Yeah.
tell the truth. You're acting insane. And yeah, and he's not even defending her, which is nice. Because like normally you might get a best friend being like, oh, you know, it's fine. You're love struck. You're love sick. Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. But yeah, Cameron is so goddamn endearing, so charming. She makes it work.
Yeah.
Immediately, will you be my maid of honor? Very
She's like,
funny.
My previous maid of honor shattered her pelvis on spring break. So
Yeah.
I
And then
need
the
a
other
new
two
one.
are like her two like kooky cousins who are a trip. Those women
Who
are a trip.
But it was so cute because she was like, listen, I don't need to have met you. George said that you're an important person in his life. So
yeah.
I think you should be a part of the wedding. It wasn't coming from a place of malice. It was
No,
actually
it's
really
sweet.
cute.
It was so cute. And when they get in the car and Cameron's driving, it's amazing work.
Amazing
So fun.
work. Talk about informing us of her character. She's hazardly driving, but no one gets hurt.
No one gets hurt.
And she has a cute little BMW convertible, and she's zigzagging through Chicago traffic, I guess. And
Good for her.
yeah, you really fall in love with Cameron really quick.
Immediate. Yeah, she's just the best. I lost a really good tweet about Cameron. It was something like every 10 minutes a star dies, or like a bit of stardust falls or whatever, and somebody someone quote tweeted and wrote, her name is Cameron Diaz.
No.
It was about like
It's
Cameron just like quitting acting because she's so good.
She's so good,
She's
and
so
she's a
good.
really good foil for Julia Roberts in this movie.
Yes.
Um, and then immediately, like we don't have that much time, so we have to start doing like wedding prep and
Shot out of a cannon.
shot out of a cannon, and we are immediately getting wedding dresses, and Cameron is telling Julia that she's special. She's like the maid of honor, so that's why she has to wear this like
Special color.
special color dress. It didn't look that bad. I mean, it looked exactly what I would expect someone in '97 would wear to a wedding,
Yeah.
but she didn't look terrible. Like Cameron Diaz is not putting her in like an offensive
No, she's putting
wedding
her in
dress.
something nice. I think that in 97 that was supposed to read as nice, right? I'm not
Yeah,
off in
no,
saying that.
I don't. We're not
Oh,
supposed
okay.
to read it as like she's doing her
Hideous.
dirty, but
Yeah.
as she's
It's not Monster in
changing-
Law.
No, it's not Monster-in-Law. As she's changing, her and Michael, or Julia Roberts and Michael, are in the changing room,
Yeah.
and
he
he
walks
catches
in.
her, and he catches her changing, and I was like, these two people need jail time, because he was like, "You look really good."
Yeah, that
I was like, "This is really inappropriate."
she's like in a bra. He walks in. She like immediately goes to cover up. And he's like, I've seen you more naked than that. And she's like,
Yeah.
Excuse me? You're getting married.
Yeah,
And he goes, You look really good without your clothes on. And I was like, Oh,
terrible.
Michael. And then she's on the phone with George and she just goes into the receiver. She's toast.
Yeah.
Slams it shut. Or I don't know if that was the exact line, but she's
No,
like,
she does.
she doesn't
says
stand a
some-
chance.
She does say something like that, and
It
I
works.
guess the plot coming together now is that she's going to fully throw the wedding, and she's going to get him back for herself. And
Not something I normally pick or see from Julia Roberts. Like a ruthless, above all else, my wants, my needs, like meanie kind of. Because we've talked about it. She's crazy in this.
she's really acting up.
Terrible
and-
behavior.
Right. And it's a really interesting role, because the script doesn't give her any leeway for us to think that she has any right to do this. Like, when you hear the plan, no one watches it and goes, "Oh, that's a good idea." Like, you're immediately like, "No,
Yikes,
why
babe.
are you doing that?" Like, they
Yes.
seem like a really good match,
Yeah. You need to chill.
but you need to chill. And then then Cameron Diaz and her are going to like a celebration on the top floor of a hotel,
Mhm.
and they take the elevator up, and as soon as people
Love
get out,
this.
Cameron slams the emergency stop,
I was like, yes, so funny.
and what does she say to her in the scene? She says,
Well, that's the moment where I thought, okay, can't wait to get 90s on this. And this is the moment where they're going to establish their mortal enemies. And
right, because that's what you think is going to happen.
that's what you think. So Cameron slams the brakes on, and I go, oh no. This is the point in the movie where the two women want to kill each other.
Right, where Cameron's like, "I know who you are.
Yeah.
I know what you're doing."
I know what you're playing at, and you're not fooling
Yeah.
me for one fucking second.
Right.
But no, Cameron just stops the elevator to just tell her how excited she is.
Yes.
It's really good. I didn't write
She does.
anything specific down.
Yeah, that's exactly right. She's just excited to have her.
She's
there.
excited to have her get in her face, and Julia's going, how are you in an enclosed elevators? And Cameron is not listening.
No.
And it's a very funny bit because, and then
Yeah.
that was the point where I was going to ask you, Stephen, how are you in an elevator?
I actually always take the stairs in my building.
Oh, okay.
I'm only on the 6th floor, but I
Only on the
really-
6th.
Only on the 6th.
Just on the 6th.
of 9. But I usually take the stairs anyway, but I've never been like trapped in an elevator
Knock on wood.
before, so
Yeah,
I
I mean,
think I would have a really hard time with
I'm okay with enclosed spaces, but I was just wondering if this moment was a little triggering for you.
I wouldn't want to be in there, but if I had to be trapped in an elevator with anyone, I think like a really sunny Cameron Diaz would be a good person.
That's fine.
Maybe
Yeah.
with some Avalon wine, whatever she sells, and
And her
we could get
lemon
through it
linguine
together.
pasta from her cookbook.
right. And yeah, it's gut health. That's what it is.
Oh, gut health.
So
Plug.
so they go to like this brunch thing, cocktail hour or something, and again, Julia looks more and more like a fool, because if anything, Cameron's family just seems really nice.
Yeah, they're sweet.
they're sweet, but they're also billionaires, we find out.
Which makes me hate them.
Right, they're billionaires who own the Chicago White Sox and other ventures, apparently.
Unclear.
And so they go to this thing, and she meets their family, and their family ends up being really charming. And then after that, I think she starts to realize that Julia Roberts is like, okay, next step is I'm going to make this like, I'm going to bully her out of this relationship.
Yeah. Gotta switch up my tactics.
Yeah, I'm going to switch it up. So they go to a bar, and
it's
it's a karaoke
bar.
Karaoke bar, nonetheless.
Only I'm not happy with karaoke right now. We're not friends.
Yeah, it's... Oh, wait, before this is a really short scene, but I have to mention it. Because before this, they actually go to a White Sox game. And just Julia Roberts is there. And she is, I mean, they should
Is she
show
the
this
waitress?
at waitressing. Exactly, they should show this at waitressing school. I wrote this down. The way that she handled that tray.
She's got a platter of a lot of cups.
Incredible. She was going up and down steps. She was twirling.
Yeah.
And none of those cups fell. Not
I was
a
like,
one.
who told her to do that? Did Michael say, can you get the drinks?
Right. I was like, okay,
maybe
she should have just been a waitress the whole time. Because...
Yeah, not a food critic.
Not a food critic.
Yeah.
So, anyway, that scene was just weird because she's being so inappropriate in front of Michael with all of these like old men there.
Yeah.
And she's like being really flirty, and she's like, I've got moves you've never seen.
You've never seen before. And she's in like a belly shirt.
And she's acting up for the crowd. And right, because this is where she's like, okay, what I'm gonna do is like, I'm gonna get everybody on my side. That doesn't work, and now she's gonna go to the karaoke bar, and she's gonna bully Cameron Diaz into submission.
Humiliate her.
And initially, Cameron Diaz is like, okay, I don't want to sing, like, not my thing. Yeah. She's setting a boundary. And Julia Roberts is like, goes along with it when Michael is like, no, Cameron Diaz, you should sing. And then Julia Roberts is like, no, she said she doesn't want to sing. Give me the mic.
Yeah.
And then when Julia gets the mic, she's like, please enjoy the vocal stylings of Cameron Diaz.
Kimmy.
I was like,
you bitch.
So rude. There's a difference. We learned about this in elementary school. There's a difference between positive bullying and negative bullying.
Oh, really?
Positive bullying,
I thought it was all just bad.
I think it is.
I think it's all bad.
This is outdated framework.
Yeah.
Positive bullying is maybe when a peer bullies you into doing something that actually is good for you.
Yeah.
And then negative bullying is what traditionally you think of. Now I think that binary has kind of gone away, and it's just all bullying. But I said this is negative bullying because this is negative. Something she doesn't want to do. And
she's being forced.
Right.
I felt so bad for her in this moment. Oh my goodness. And they just kick off a song. I'm like, how do we even know she knows it?
Not a well-known song, by the way.
Oh yeah, I didn't clock it.
And this was one of the first audible laughs that I had during the movie was when Cameron starts and you just hear someone in the crowd just go, "You suck."
It's very classic 90s.
It was really amazing though to watch as Cameron Diaz gets the crowd on her side.
Yeah, and it's a little slow burn, but they come along.
Right, and you see the color drain from Julia Roberts' face as she realizes that her plan has like backfired again.
It's nice. She really does kind of get what's coming to her a bunch too, which is fun.
Yeah.
In a very real way, like in a socially real way.
I did write down, this is what mental strength is. Like, I wish, like, what Cameron Diaz has. I was like, I don't think I would have been, like, I wouldn't have the mental strength to go through with it.
Yeah, it's very Elle Woods. It's very Reese Witherspoon and Legally Blonde. It's just like, oh, you're going to make fun of me? Well, I'm just going to act like it was on purpose.
Yeah, so nice. Julia strikes out again, and this is like the That's So Raven rule, which is, whatever, if you want something to happen, the more you interfere with it, the less it's going to happen. That's the episode. That's what happens in every episode of That's So Raven, right?
It's true. The more she meddles, she basically makes it happen. She like makes the negative thing happen.
And at every episode of That's So Raven, she's always like, "Oh, if I just would have done nothing." I'm like, okay, good luck next episode where you do the same thing over again.
In our Star Vehicle handbook, we need to
Yeah.
have the That's So Raven rule.
Yeah, the That's So Raven rule. That's what this is. This
Do
is the That's So
nothing.
Raven rule. Just
Or
do.
reap the negative consequences.
Because I really do think, though, that if she would have done nothing, what would have happened
Yeah.
probably is that Cameron Diaz's father would have eventually gotten frustrated with him and wanted him to join the business on his own, and probably would have messed it up.
Yeah.
But because she pushed,
Mm-hmm.
it didn't work out for her. So
So fun. That's So Raven rule. Take
that's
that
a
one.
Raven rule. And then Julie's like,
welcome.
okay, let me reset for the high score. My next tactic will be I'm going to ruin him professionally at her
Yes.
expense.
And this is where I got confused about the plot.
It is confusing because all that we know about what's her name, Cameron Diaz's family, is that they're billionaires and they own the Chicago White Sox, which seems like the perfect home for a sports writer, by the way. And
perfect.
So she says, so Cameron Diaz and Julia Roberts are sitting down, and Julia Roberts says, listen, his career is going nowhere. You don't want a vacation in Sedona, Arizona at spring training. Like, you need to get him a job with your father's company because he's a loser. You don't want to be around a loser, blah, blah, blah. And Cameron's like, good idea. To which I also said, actually, not a bad idea.
Not too bad.
Not too bad.
Not too bad. It's like, you know.
And also, like, what is she gonna do for work? It seemed like it seemed like everyone should just go into the family business.
It's a good business.
Like Julia should get a job
It's a really
there.
good business. Owner of the White Sox.
Owner of the White Sox, and it seems like it's an investment company. They have their hands in many pots. It seems like he could have found a comfortable home,
growth opportunity, job security.
Yeah,
as long as they stay married.
Right. So Julia Roberts is like, this is a really good idea.
I was confused at the plan. I wrote that there. I wrote, what's the idea? Get him to change jobs? Basically bully Cameron Diaz's character into asking her fiance to change jobs.
Here's why you're confused. Because in the scene, what it sounded like is she was saying to Cameron Diaz, you should leave him because he has no career aspirations.
Yeah. It was like, you don't want to be with this loser. Yeah.
Exactly. It doesn't sound like you should get him employed at your father's company.
Yeah, that's why I was very confused by what the plan was.
It is confusing.
Because in the next scene, when she has to go execute the plan.
Right. And Julia Roberts shows up for the dinner. And at this point, I feel like, I think we've had more dinners than days between Thursday and Saturday, but that's
yes, too many meals.
So we're at a dinner with some meal, brunch, breakfast, something, and Cameron Diaz lays down her plan, and Julia Roberts is like, you should listen. And in this moment, I was confirmed he's emotionally immature. And he's a monster. Really he's a monster.
He flips out too hard.
He flips out on her, and he's like, you need to start being honest for 1 second.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa. The way he flipped out on her was really gross.
I was like, what's going on behind closed doors of this relationship?
Exactly. You're doing that in public?
Yeah. What's going on at home?
Yikes.
I was like, that's the point where I said, this is going to fall apart. Julia Roberts is going to win. And then she's just going to feel bad about it. But
I know. And like,
she's going to win.
Sort of wanted Cameron Diaz to like stand up and be like, are you insane? Like, see you later.
Yeah.
But she doesn't. And this is a weird scene because she immediately starts to cry and she starts to beg for him to come back.
She just takes it back immediately. She's like, we've already...
This was uncomfortable. He had just yelled at her.
He had just yelled at her. It looked like stuff was going on behind the scenes that we didn't know about this relationship. But she does kind of redeem it in one line. She goes something like, we'd already talked about this.
Yeah.
We'd already discussed this possibility, and I said it was fine.
Yeah.
And I reneged, and this reaction makes sense because we'd previously agreed that this is the idea, and then I went back on it. So she kind of tries to make it okay.
She does, but
his reaction was scary.
His reaction was scary, and like we were just saying, her suggestion was not insane. Like, she wasn't telling him that he needs to quit his job and never work and never have a career. She was just offering him a better job. She
was saying, like, your dream isn't worth it.
Yeah.
Go with daddy's money. And was there like an angle? I feel bad. I probably should have looked into it. Was there an angle where it was like she didn't want to quit school? So
well, that comes out later because what we know so far is that she's a junior, but she's not going to go back
She's
to
not
finish
returning.
her architecture degree.
Yeah.
And Julia Roberts is like,
don't you need
don't
that?
architecture firms really value a degree?
Yeah.
And
sweetie.
Right, but we do find out in the third, like last third of the movie, that her actual desire is to finish her degree.
Yeah, and I felt bad.
But okay, so they reconcile. He forgives her for nothing, and she grovels
She's like,
to him.
sorry, and foiled again, Julia.
Foiled again. However, on the way out, there's another event. Like there's like a brunch or something the next day or something like that, and Julia Roberts
another meal where we don't get food critic Julia. Yeah, another opportunity.
But before that, Cameron Diaz is like, yeah, I have to go home and get ready for it. And Julia Roberts is like, okay, great, see ya. And she shuts the car door. And she's like, I'll stay with Michael if
I'll
that's
stay
okay.
with Michael, yeah.
And poor Cameron's like, sure, no
Kimmy
problem.
is so trusting. She's so trusting. Because she's like, come back with me. And Julia's like, okay. And then she's like, no, you should stay with Michael. Okay, bye.
See ya. And they stay out together, which I wrote down. I just realized I've never been to Chicago. And then
you will love Chicago. It's phenomenal.
They either take the subway or they just sit
on the steps. They don't take the subway.
They eat a hot dog.
Yeah.
And
good screen eating.
Yeah. And these two professionals are like, oh, I just don't want to sell out. I'm like, you're a food critic for the New York Times. Sweetie.
That's a sellout.
You sold out. You sold out, sweetie.
I wanted more like her eating the hot dog and him like lightly ribbing her like, oh, how is it, Miss Food Critic? And she could be like,
yeah.
dirty.
Or you know what I was expecting is that, okay, if they're best friends and they're really in tune with each other, I would have also expected him to be like, I know what you are doing.
Yeah.
Like, please stop. But they're so good friends that they don't recognize each other's behavior. And
there's a lot of ignoring of very blatant behavior.
Very blatant. So it was weird because they're having this very normal thing after this very heated dinner that was only put in motion by her, and yet there's no recognition on his part that maybe she's acting up.
I know. Even the karaoke thing, she pushes the song onto her, and then Michael just like falls in love with Kimmy again and her like beauty at the song. And I'm just like, isn't this the point where Michael says that was fucked up, Jules? Julianne?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But so anyway,
we trudge on.
Home. They trudge on. She goes home. She drinks a lot that night because she's like super annoyed. And I guess she had called George the night before, and he ends up showing up in the morning because she needs reinforcements. She overslept with her face mask on. She's hungover, but George is there to help.
He gets that mask off her face.
They scrub it off, and this was really good because finally we have a breath of fresh and
a sane person.
George is going to be her fake fiance, and as a way to make him jealous, this is now her 19th attempt of breaking up the wedding. And poor Cameron Diaz is so excited because when she finds out that she has a fiance, she's like,
attacks
she's just
him.
So excited for her, and she's just like,
this is the best news ever.
Yeah. And
I just have that was when they were in the suit shop, right? And she's like,
suit shop, and then they go to the church. But yeah, it's the same conversation.
George is basically saying like, tell him you love him. Come on, like be an adult, be a real human. Just tell him. And Julia goes over and I guess says, this is my fiance George. Yeah. And to get George out, she does go, oh, he's not staying long. He's racing back to New York. He just came here to fuck me.
For a few hours. And then he goes, it takes a few hours.
I thought that was great. And then they end up at like lunch again, another meal with her family.
Yeah, they're at like a seafood boil restaurant.
Yes.
And where they put the seafood on the table. And I just thought, this is where I was like, okay, is this where billionaires eat? I don't think so. I don't think this is where billionaires eat. I don't know.
I think I'm a big old dum-dum, and the most American theater goers are big old dum-dums, and we're just like, seafood. Yep.
Expensive.
So steak and lobster. Yep.
Yeah, this was a great scene because George regales everyone with the story of how they met.
I was so excited for this moment. I thought it, because I like I've mentioned, I've never seen this before. I thought it would be a tag team, like The Proposal, where they
Right.
would finish each other's sentences
Yeah.
about how they
But no.
met. But no.
No, no, no. He says that he first met her in a mental
In a mental
institution.
institution. Which would make sense.
Which would make sense
For her behavior.
Exactly. He's like, I saw her first breezing through the doors of the electric shock therapy room. So funny, but also I'm like, okay, maybe this is true because
It could
she's
be true.
really acting up.
Yeah.
And so George wows them with the story. And
Dionne Warwick was there.
Dionne Warwick was there.
And I looked in her eyes, and they launch into a full restaurant, say a little prayer, karaoke movie.
Yeah.
This is a movie about karaoke.
This is a movie about karaoke. And right, this is like obviously the most like famous scene in the movie where they're all singing a "Say a Little Prayer" at the table.
Say a little prayer for you.
And it's really good. It is really good.
It's fun. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot more fun than The Sweetest Thing, where we get a restaurant song. I'll just say that. Another Cameron movie.
So
and
it's charming.
He calls her a siren, which I thought was good. Very funny.
But George helped lighten the mood, and to your point, he says to her, listen, like, if you feel this way, just go and say something to him. The worst that he can say is, no, I'm in love with Cameron Diaz, and then you move on. But all these hijinks are getting out of hand.
Yeah. And she's real mad at him, by the way, after this lunch. And I just wrote, is she really mad at George for making the lie believable?
And he helps because in the car after or before, he tries to put his arm around her, and she's like actively pushing him off.
Yeah, she's like, get off me. Get off me.
So anyway, so then afterwards, she's like, nope, I'm going to give it another go. And they're on a ferry. And
they do a really romantic date.
Weird.
Michael,
again, how they had time for the two of them to take a ferry ride
shocking,
and just
in this
share
weekend.
their feelings. And this is where things did get dangerously close to, like, I guess them saying that they both felt for each other.
I was thinking this is the I love you moment.
And that's
for both
and
of
that's
them.
what it gets really close to, but they don't do it. And instead they dance to a romantic dance, and it's just weird because I'm like, you're getting married in a day. You are acting so inappropriate. I was like, would you even want to marry this guy?
Isn't the bachelor weekend, buddy.
Exactly.
Okay?
It's like hometown visits with 3 girls. It's very strange.
Yeah, they're on, and the movie takes pains. It's very romantic. There's a lot of like close up, lustful looking, breathing each other's air.
Romantic songs,
dancing. Little kids on the ferry look on.
Yeah.
In awe at their love. I was like, wow.
I'm like, someone at the wedding could be on this ferry. They're going to be watching this and being like, what is going on?
I kind of wanted to see Michael duck a little. I did kind of want to see him look over his shoulder, left, right.
Right.
But he's secure this whole time. Big old dumb Michael.
He's like, I'm doing nothing wrong.
He's not seeing any of this inappropriate behavior, and it's like he's wearing blinders because he loves her. I was expecting them both to be in love at this point.
I just wrote down that, you know what, Cameron Diaz really deserves better. So this is really sick.
She does. This is sick.
And then, once again, we're on to plan 987. She's now just going to get Michael to lose his job, and we're going to blame it on Cameron Diaz. And
so
then that'll do it.
So mean.
So she goes to the family HQ and
finds Daddy Dearest.
Finds Daddy.
Very
in the
nice
boardroom.
man. So nice.
She lies. She says, "Can I use your office to make phone calls?" Lie.
Believable lie in 1997 though.
Absolutely. You don't want to pay long distance from your hotel.
No.
So she goes on to his computer, no password, and she opens up his email.
Email.
It's really funny. And I know they knew better, but I guess this was a time where most people still didn't have AOL. Because
I was wondering that.
When she writes the email, she writes it like a letter. She
goes, out loud. Dear Michael.
Not just that. No email address. She just writes like Bill Erickson.
Yes.
Head of the Sports Writing Magazine.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay.
All right. Okay.
Hope it gets there.
It's like carrier pigeon.
Yeah. And she dictates this letter, which is funny because she had already pre-written it. So
it was written it was handwritten, and then she just re-says it, which is nice.
Transcribes it out loud.
Yeah. And you would never want to have to retype it, so she saves it for later.
Yeah, she almost sends it, and then she's like, she clearly feels a pang of guilt because she knows if she sends it, he's going to lose his job. Mm-hmm. So then she goes, save for later. Save for later. That's what I'm saving it for later. I'll save it. And it's like, she clicks save for later.
I'm like, what is that doing? Are you going to come back?
And then at this point I said, okay, now we are somewhere else. This is mail fraud.
We're towing something legal.
This is criminal.
Now we're getting into felony territory.
That's what I said. I wrote down, I think this might be mail fraud, and I think she might need jail time both for punishment and to cool off.
Yeah, and like defamation for
tortious interference,
which she's done to Cameron. Yes, absolutely. It's bad. She's reckless now, but legally she doesn't send it.
No, she doesn't send it. She saves it as, I guess, what we would now know as a draft. But the button says save for later, and she leaves. But we get this clue. He says to his secretary, "I've left a few messages. Save for later. Could you just send them out?
Send them for me?"
So funny.
Oy, oy, oy.
So he sends them, and then I guess she has like a pang of guilt late that night. Again, her and Michael are alone together. And
too much alone time.
At like
it's inappropriate.
Midnight.
It's inappropriate.
She's like, I have to get into daddy's office, or your new daddy's office.
Yeah, and the key doesn't work.
And he's like, listen,
it's the weekend, babe.
Monday morning.
Yeah.
And I was like, as a food critic, I don't really know like what kind of papers you would have left there.
Yeah, what are you doing, sweetie?
That
mail fraud? Are you committing mail fraud?
Yeah, that's what she is doing. She's committing mail fraud, and
he just asks in that moment. Oh, like, it's a joke. It's a joke. What are you committing mail fraud?
It's not like you committed mail fraud or anything.
Yeah, it's not like you have to stop anything from going out that can cause mass destruction.
Yeah.
Sit in that silence.
Sit in that silence. So she's like, oh, darn.
Oh, no.
So they go back to the hotel.
More alone time. Alone in a hotel room.
Right, but before they can enjoy their alone time, he's been fired. News gets out. News breaks. And he is pissed. He's like, can I have a moment? And Julia Roberts goes outside and smokes a cigarette in the hall.
Another stress cig. Paul Giamatti. Hi.
And yeah,
up,
and this is where I did wish that someone actually, this is the first time I wish someone in the movie actually listened to Julia Roberts, because she says to him, why don't you have me arrested? I'm a criminal. To which I said,
Yes, she is. She's a criminal.
Call the police. Ring the police.
That's a little bit of self-awareness from that character. She knows that she's a criminal.
She knows that she's a criminal. Yeah. I do wonder if she knows that she's actually a criminal and not just like a criminal of the heart, but she's actually a criminal. I wish she would have known. But I think she knows that this is a bridge too far. But then again, I don't know if she does, because she continues to push it as the movie goes on.
This is the point where I'm like, it is time to lay down your armor, babe. This is the time to walk away. You're right. Done.
Like you would think that this is the natural climax of the movie. Where
this is the come clean moment.
Right. And I think she feels some guilt, but then
it's not.
She goes back in the room and he says, essentially, like, listen, this is it. This is her fault. She says she didn't do anything, Cameron Diaz.
Yeah, Kimmy sent the email, and it was at her insistence that I be fired. Right. I can't marry her.
He's like, the wedding's off. And she goes, I did it.
Shocked.
She's never been more happy in her entire life.
I did it.
And then she goes, so, like, do you want to go out for a walk or get something to eat? We can order some food up to the room.
Oh, my God.
He's like, no,
he's like,
don't.
I want to be alone. Do you mind?
I wrote, why don't we take a walk? She's ill. And then
she is ill.
And then we cut to the next morning, which is the brunch. I guess there was supposed to be a brunch like the day of or the day before. Again, the way that this movie works with the calendar is bizarre, but
yeah, it's intense.
I guess that this is officially now the day before, and we find out that the brunch has not been canceled because
this might even be wedding day, 6 p.m.
Oh, you're right.
Right?
Maybe
this
it's
might
the
be the
morning
wedding
of.
day.
You're right.
But who actually knows?
Yeah, it could be a week before, it could be the day of.
She's not even 28 yet.
28. And he's like, listen, she didn't call it off, so I didn't call it off.
Shocked. Shocking. The wedding's still on. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is wedding day. And then this is where...
Well, this is where she gets really mad. She gets really frustrated now because she's like, you said you were going to call it off. Like, why didn't you call it off? I gave you a reason to call it off.
Yeah.
And she pulls him into the gazebo. And she's like, she basically says, like, choose me. And then she gives him a big old kiss.
Yes. Oh, so painful.
Like the most cringe kiss ever.
Yeah. He does not return.
Doesn't return. He's like actively pulling away. And
who's
Cameron
looking
Diaz
on?
sees.
Kimmy.
Diaz. On her wedding day, no less.
Fucked up.
So rude.
So rude. Kimmy sees, and then I did laugh out loud at this chase. I thought it was very funny. Yeah, Cameron runs. He runs.
A high stakes game of tag.
Yeah, it becomes
in
tag.
a line.
And as Julia Roberts hijacks a bread truck, another criminal move, another move of a criminal.
Yeah. Grand Theft Auto.
Add it to her rap sheet at this point. Bitch is guilty.
And this was the time where I legitimately, like, the biggest laugh I had in the movie is that as they're chasing each other through the streets, from the bread van, she calls George, who's in like an art gallery talk, and she's screaming through the phone.
Yes.
And I don't know why it made me laugh so hard, but she just says very clearly, I have stolen a bread van.
A bread van. It's not the first time that she crazy calls George.
So funny the way that she just like says it. And you know what I did think, and this is why I think maybe one of the movies we should do next after this little Julia Roberts unit is we should do that Emma Roberts movie, Little Italy. But
I need to see that. I would die.
I think we should, because I did think to myself, okay, you could see Emma Roberts also like crushing this movie,
crushing that role. She'd be great.
In many ways, I think Emma Roberts could do this role better.
She does Psycho better. Julia doesn't really do Psycho.
Because that's the one thing that I thought that this movie could have benefited from, is if we really wanted to do crazy, we could have really ramped it up.
We could have doubled down on crazy.
And I think Emma Roberts would have done a much better job.
Agree with you. She would have been amazing at this.
Especially
also,
in this, when I heard her say, I have stolen a bread van, I was like, I would really like to hear Emma Roberts say that line.
It's like a very Scream Queens like moment in this movie.
Yeah, exactly.
I also thought that Cameron Diaz would have done a brilliant job as that role, because she does crazy better.
Yeah, she does crazy better.
It's just fun. But the chase is funny. Not the first time Cameron does like a scream fit at George. The time before that, he's hosting a dinner party, and she's just yelling into the answering machine, like all her crazy. Yeah. And then everyone at the dinner party just like resumes drinking. Very funny. Yeah. And then this time he's at that reading, and she's doing it.
Exactly.
Screaming at him through the giant cell phone.
And George, without having much detail, literally says to her, okay, he's chasing her and you're chasing him.
Yeah, and who's chasing you?
To which I said out loud, the police. No.
I like your punchline better.
I was like, the police, they are chasing her. The cops, the FBI,
police,
Homeland Security, Secret Service. They are on her
tail.
The
mall cop that saw you take that bread van. Everyone.
Yeah, Big Bread. They are after her.
Pepperidge Farms.
So this was like, the next scenes were like kind of like my least favorite scenes in the movie.
It's the wrap up. It's boring.
So boring. Like, she gets to the train station. He is sad, and she finally gives it up, and she's like, okay, I'll admit it. I was just doing this because I loved you. Mm-hmm. Or not even love, just like was obsessed with you.
I was obsessed with that 1 month we had.
He forgives her, and I was like, okay, that's insane too, because she literally almost is like destroying your life, but sure, forgive your best friend.
They went with like real love this whole time. Like, she really loves him. Like, they went with that choice. I'm almost now coming back to it saying she should have like maybe admitted she got desperate. Like, she was approaching 28, and she was like, I was so scared I wasn't going to find someone, that I was clinging to something that never was, or something. You know what I mean? Like, just like admit you're desperate.
It would have been helpful to have that self-awareness, because you're right. Her angle here is that
I love you.
Like, this was coming from a place of LOVE.
Yeah, like I love you, bro. And Julia Roberts' performance is pure love. Like, she loves him.
Yeah, I think you would have been right. It would have been refreshing if she was like, "Whoa, this has been a weird few days."
I don't even know
Or
who
just
that
like,
chick was.
or if she just sat down next to him on the little bench in the train station and she just goes, "That was weird."
That was weird, right? This is out of character behavior.
Have you seen my twin sister? I heard she's in town. Like,
And then he's like, wait, so you did meet George in a mental institution? And she goes, oh, yeah, that happened.
yeah, it would have been really funny. So
I like the twin line. Who's that?
yeah,
Some lady hijacked my body.
yeah. So he's like, "Listen, I'm here because this is where I like proposed to her or something."
Yeah.
And she's like, "I'm gonna go look somewhere else."
She's
And
like, I'm
we
going to
found
help
out-
you.
We found out from your help that she actually goes to the White Sox stadium, and Julia Roberts finds her there in the bathroom with a room full
With a
of
gaggle of girls.
gaggle of girls who are ready to beat Julia Roberts to
Roost.
a pulp.
They're going to kill her. Worth noting that Julia's character finds out where Cameron goes by contacting the really kooky bridesmaids.
Right.
And the kooky bridesmaid number 1 is like, kooky bridesmaid number 2 got her tongue stuck to the ice sculpture. And she goes, okay, like blah, blah, blah. And she goes, it's the David. And it just cuts to it and you see where her tongue is stuck. And it's,
Yeah.
you
If
know.
you know, you know.
If you know, you know.
And then
I thought that was a nice little Italy reference.
yeah, a little Italy tie-in.
Little
So
Italy.
she gets the locale. She goes there.
Yeah, because I
They
guess when
make
Cameron gets
up.
stressed, she goes to games. Hmm? Okay.
I guess so. I guess that's where I would go too if my family had a box suite.
Yeah, she
although I
goes to
wouldn't be
the
hanging out in
box.
the public restroom. I'd probably be like in the suite itself. But
Mm-hmm.
that's neither here nor there.
Woman of the people, Cameron.
That's right. So they have a talking out, and they
She's
come to. I actually didn't even write it down because it was so not interesting. But they come to some sort of resolution.
I think she's like,
Honestly-
Michael loves you. You love
Yeah.
him. He didn't call off the wedding.
They're all so ill.
Does
that
she
it
say,
just-
I sent the email? That's the line I'm looking for.
I don't remember.
Me neither. That's me neither.
Oh, right, because one thing we skipped over is that it, and this is a small point, but the way that Cameron Diaz gets him back, sort of, is that she gets to admit that she sent the email. And then she forgives, and then she gets forgiven for it
Yeah, wait, what?
at the wedding.
No,
At the brunch thing.
yo, Jules admits she sent the email.
No, but before that, when they go to the brunch,
Yeah.
he says that Cameron Diaz, took responsibility for it.
Huh. Why?
Yeah.
She's too
I
good.
think she just like move things on. That's what I'm saying. No one's healthy. So they end up getting back together, whatever. Then we go to the wedding, and
Which is still on. Weird.
still on. It's been a busy day, and they are giving speeches, and the best man gives his speech, boring, and then Julia Roberts gives her speech, also kind of boring, and
Yeah, it's that end of movie wrap up emotional moment. Julia Roberts does it. Her performing in this is amazing. Like I said, she went full love struck though. She's in love with Michael and
she was
crying.
like, I had a dream last night that someone was trying to break up your wedding.
She goes, and I woke up and the world is just as it should be.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's sweet. And then I like the song. She goes, and I didn't get you a present, but I have a surprise for you. Here's a song for you, and it's on loan until you can find your own. And it's The Way You Look Tonight, which is their song, and it's the song they danced to on the river cruise where we thought
perverse, so gross.
where we thought
Like,
they were gonna like literally hook up and admit they love each other.
It's so weird.
Maybe I wanted more from Michael in this movie. Maybe I wanted Michael to just prove he loved Kimmy a little bit more the whole time.
Yeah, treat her nicely.
Treat her
and, like,
nicer. Don't make comments about naked Julia Roberts' body. Okay?
yeah, it's like all these movies that we watch. It's like, this isn't gonna work. This is not gonna work.
What's your breakup meter for this
2
one?
years.
2
max.
years. Okay.
I mean, I think he's gonna enjoy the money for a while, and then he's gonna be over it.
And
Like,
we know they don't have a prenup. There's no way.
I mean, she's 20. Like, the person you are at 20 is not who you are at 27.
I know. I would have honestly maybe picked Julia Roberts.
Yeah. So
You got to go with someone a little your own age. Also, he looked 38.
this um so okay, so they go to the wedding, and this is something that only happens in weddings and movies, but I've never seen in real life. When the couple leaves, like, midway through the wedding,
Oh yeah, in regular clothes.
never happens in real life.
They don't
But
do that.
they leave, they finally, like, they share a glance, he comes back, gives her a hug, which is like so inappropriate, like, just leave.
Buddy, not for this movie.
They leave. Julia Roberts goes back to her table alone, and she pulls out her massive phone from her tiny purse. And
It's a Hermione purse. It's
this
never
did make
ending.
yeah, this did make me laugh because, like, George says something to her to the effect of how are the couple, like, what's going on with them?
Mm-hmm.
And she says, all she says is, "I said goodbye." To which I wish George was like, "Did you kill them?" Like,
We got to George's end of the phone call. Wait, did you kill them?
did you kill them? Like, she literally, because, like, he goes, like, "How is the couple? Like, how's the wedding?" And Julia just goes, "I said goodbye." I was
Oh my
like,
God.
that is dark. But turns out
Surprise.
George is watching her from afar. He's the actual best friend. Michael, by the way, is not a friend. He's not a best friend.
Never was.
George is a friend.
Never
He is her
was.
best friend. He's way too nice to her. He showed up at the wedding, and now they're going to just have a good time as the wedding continues without the
Without
married
the couple. I'm like, I have a friend who's planning a wedding in May. It's too much money to do that. You're staying till the end.
Yeah, you're staying till the end. I've never
Like,
seen that.
what?
You only see that in movies.
Yeah. It's odd. Gotta
Yeah.
get to the honeymoon.
I mean, I could understand maybe a send off like that at the end of the ceremony when everyone leaves, but then to have the wedding continue.
I know.
I mean, she hadn't had time to eat her cake. It was just beginning.
George says that. He gets on the
He
phone.
says that
Because
You
we
haven't
don't know
touched your
he's
cake.
there. So he's like
Yeah, it's cute.
he's narrating a moment. He's like a woman in a lavender dress. He does have an accent, right, George? He's kind of like British-ish. Thought he did. And
Yeah,
then
he's
he's like,
British.
you haven't even touched your cake. And she's like, wait, time out. How do you know that? Stop. Are you here?
He's like, "I'm sitting in the car with the FBI. We have you on monitor."
I'm wanted for questioning. What did you do?
Yeah. Let's get our story straight. So
At the very least,
yeah.
the Grand Theft Auto is a punishable offense in this film.
Yeah, I mean, that would have been a really funny ending to the movie, is if she were to get arrested at the wedding.
Right? Take her out in
That
cuffs.
would have been funny.
She deserved
And
it.
and she just gives a final, like, "All right, fair.
I did it.
I did it."
I did it. Emma Roberts would kill this movie.
Yeah, and if we had Emma Roberts, we could have pushed the police side because it would have been funnier.
Yeah, and I can just see Emma Roberts too. She does like a real mess well. Mascara running down her face. Okay, I did
Yeah.
it. Take me in.
Because the one thing that and I get it's a performance choice, and I mean, this is the end of the movie. Like, it's the end. Chanel's upset. She's overcome
I have a crazy tickle in my throat. I'm so
a
sorry.
little tickle. But the
Horrible.
one thing that, and I get it was a character choice, but the one thing that I think I missed from it is that if we were gonna make it funnier, we needed that anger, and we needed it to move beyond what you were just saying, which was that the argument that it rests on true love doesn't work because they're not in love and they're not friends. So the better route would be, I don't even love you. I just don't want you with her. Like, I
Yeah.
want you to myself. And that's where it would have been funnier,
They
because George
say
could have been
that.
like, you don't even like him. Why are you doing this?
Yeah, at one point, I think George says, do you really love him or is this just about winning? And I needed so much more of
He
that
does
energy.
say that.
We need
But-
more of that because
But what
that's
the
what
movie
she's
is suggesting
doing.
is that it was love. And
Yeah,
I'm
the
like,
movie is saying, I
no.
love him.
No. And I think at the very end, I guess she does realize that I think what they're
I
saying
think
is
she
that
still
she
loved
does
him.
love him.
She
But
loves him so
but
much.
she loves him like a best friend.
My best
And-
friend's wedding.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that it would have been really interesting to really like ramp up like Glenn Close and Fatal Attraction, like level
Competition.
crazy.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
I felt bad. Like, Julia Roberts gives such an earnestly good performance of Love Struck that I'm like, ouch, that hurts. That hurts so
Yeah.
bad. I can feel the pain in her chest of I love him so much and he doesn't love me back. He loves someone else.
Right.
It's upsetting. It's a sad movie.
Yeah, it certainly has an ending that is new for the time.
And that's why I like this movie.
You walk into this movie and you hear that Julia Roberts is going to try to get back with her best friend. You assume at the end of the movie she's going to get back with her best friend.
They're together, yeah, and they're not.
But no, he's not even her best friend. And instead she's
Plot
in
twist.
jail.
I think that because of that, and because of like avoiding those tropes of making the women hate each other, I think it's a refreshing rom-com. I think it's really well
100%
done.
100% agree.
Yeah.
I think it's very refreshing. I just wish that they would have pushed some of those elements a little bit further, just so that we could have gotten it very clear that there's no there with these two.
They're both kooky. I wrote at one point in my notes, this is how you rom-com. It's unbelievable, but it's not that unbelievable.
True.
That's how I felt.
True. Yeah, I mean, there was no magical realism. Let's just say that.
Could this movie have used a ghost?
Maybe.
Who's to say?
Her twin sister.
I like the twin sister, even if it's just a joke. I like it as a joke.
I think it would have been a great joke.
Who was that? That was my twin. And she like gives him a little like nudge because they're sitting next to each other at the bench, and she just nudges him in the shoulder.
Right.
That'd have been cute.
Or I think there were some areas that could have been pushed further, especially like with her career or something like that. Like with the food critic that never
cake is terrible.
Back. Yeah.
She does
something funny at the end.
She does take a bite of the cake at the end, and it's bad.
Yeah, but if she loses it,
who picked this?
Yeah.
Kimmy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. So that's our fix.
I love our rewrites, and on this one,
I think that the anger and more self-awareness about the love would have been where I would like to see it rewritten, and I would want to see it redone with Emma Roberts.
Okay, so then who's
like
Kimmy? She has to be very likable. Oh, tough.
Oh, you want to cast a Kimmy?
Yeah, who's Kimmy then? If Emma Roberts is her name Julianne? I don't even know.
Yeah, her name is Jules, right?
Jules, Julia, it's all the same. I don't know who a good Kimmy would be, but
like a sunny.
I did think like Cameron Diaz in Bad Teacher level crazy because she's trying so desperately to get Justin Timberlake in that movie.
Yeah.
Cameron could have killed it as Jules in this one.
For sure. Well. Oh, great idea. Just redo the movie. Just have the girls swap roles.
Have the girls swap them. But we needed the waspy, blondie, blue-eyed look of Cameron. And then Julia is supposed to be alt girl, aka big hair.
Big-haired food critic.
Big-haired food critic. A lot of teeth.
A lot of teeth. A lot of hair.
A lot of teeth.
Not a lot of food.
No food. For a lot of meals, no food. That's the tagline. You're signing up for every meal you didn't know you wanted to have with these people.
There you go.
I would love some seafood.
I think it was a good way to get back in touch with Cameron Diaz and a good way to get back in touch with Julia Roberts.
I miss Cameron. We need to get Julia on the channel. On the channel, LOL, on the pod.
Yeah, Julia, if you're a listener,
we're sorry. Admittedly, so we talked about this before air. We recorded 2 podcasts about Julia Roberts movies, and we canned them.
The first 2 that we ever did, which were not released, was
Unreleased.
Mona Lisa Smile and Eat, Pray, Love. And they were really just testers anyway, but...
Yeah, we just didn't have our vibe yet. We didn't know what we were doing.
Yeah.
But now?
now we really know what we're doing.
Now we know what we're doing. Also, I never want to watch Eat, Pray, Love again knowing how long it is.
Oh, it's so long.
It's so long. Good magical realism in that one, though.
Yeah, something's going on there. But
yeah, okay.
Anyway, that's that on that.
Don't forget to like, rate, comment, DM us, find us on social media. Watch us on YouTube if you want to see those good reactions. Listen to our last episode, the 355. I happen to think it's very funny.
Yeah. I repeat.
I've got a new halter top. I'd like to cut the tags off.
Yeah.
Bridesmaids quote. Okay.
Yes, I understand.
All right. Thanks so much, you guys. Bye, Steven.
Bye.
Bye.